You have passed the 13 gates. And you come to my table to play the game of life and death. Your stake is wagered. I refuse none who come here. Yet, I say, turn back.
Hello my friends, my name is Mariokins, and today we are going to be playing a little indie game known as Hand of Fate. This game is an interesting mix of tabletop RPG, trading card game, and video game roguelike. Sound weird? Combo you've never heard before? Me neither, but it plays fantastically, and I'm going to be playing it for you today. While I could continue to explain what's going to happen, I find it easiest if I'd show you.
The game begins. One lives and one dies. Let us see what you are made of. Here is the first member of my court, the Jack of Dust. 12 in all must fall before you may challenge me.
The bandit leader is stronger and faster than most bandits encountered. He can become enraged, making powerful, unblockable attacks. He also inspires his followers to steal gold on each hit. In the ruins of an ancient temple, among the eternally shifting sand dunes, lives the mysterious leader of the desert bandits. Infamous for his reign of terror over any spice caravans that dare take their chances traveling through his domain, he rules as a king over the barren lands.
Let the cards fall where they may. We begin.
We do begin. Now here in front of us we have the game on the table. This little gold statue here to the left is us, and these 5 cards are this dungeon we're in, this delve, this round of the game. Each card representing one space, one event, one memory from our character's previous past life. Over to the left, we can see what we have. We have 100 out of 100 health, 20 food, 10 gold. If we are to move to the next space, by having it highlighted, selecting it, we consume 1 food.
Fair Merith. I'm not surprised to find that this encounter remains vivid in your memories.
We consume 1 food to move from the previous space to the next space, and then we can flip it over and continue with the encounter. Now do forgive me if I lose my train of thought. The dealer loves to interrupt me as I play, so I'm sure he's going to speak at some point. No? Alright. One day, in a shady forest, you encounter an elf maiden. She stops to greet you. I am Merith of the Forest Folk. My people have long helped the mortals of this realm. What boon would you ask of me? I shall ask for longer life. As you wish. Merith mutters and waves her hand. A light shines from your skin. The dealer draws you 1 max health gain card. So the dealer draws from his deck of gain cards
A little extra health, but it is only a momentary respite.
As I was saying, the dealer draws from his gain cards until he gets a max health and shuffles the rest into his deck. Gain cards are things we get whenever we win stuff. To complete certain challenges correctly, win certain fights, whatever. It's loot, is what it is. The greatest of magical artifacts were forged long ago, and have only limited uses before their power is spent. Use them wisely, and they may guide you to victory. Farewell, mortal. Jeez, everyone in this game loves to get to things before I explain them. Yikes. All up. Just below the card, just below the maiden card, floating up here, you can see the dealer has several decks there. Alright, let's get out of the way. The dealer has 5 decks next to him. Those are different gain cards. Those are these encounter cards that are sitting on the table here. Things of that nature. Next to me, in the right, by my move and select prompts, I've got decks having different equipment and other things that could be thrown into the game. But we'll get to all that in due time. For now, let's move to the next space.
I was never a fan of illusion or pretense. Here, I'll make an exception.
Mr. Lionel. Or Lionel. I'll probably change it many times throughout this experience. Nick, figure out how to English. I'll probably change it many times through the LP. Don't worry about it. Jesus, can't talk. Whilst enjoying your evening meal at the local tavern, a strange old man takes the seat next to yours. He taps your shoulder quite painfully with his wooden staff to get your attention, and you notice that he appears to be a goblin, poorly disguised as a human. His wizened face grins at you with a hint of madness. My name is Mr. Lionel. If you give me what I need, boy, I will conjure up your heart's desire with this wizarding wand of my own creation. He cackles uncontrollably for a few moments, then sits patiently waiting for your answer. Well, I would give you 20 gold, but as I do not have 20 gold to give, I will give you the bread off my plate, which will take one of my food once I get through this. He considers the bread seriously before placing it carefully in his coat pocket, seemingly satisfied. And one food has been consumed. Mr. Lionel taps his staff on the ground and a shield materializes at your feet. There you go, old bean! He smiles a warm grin that reveals all his chipped and yellow teeth. Your face reminds me of my son. I haven't met you before, have I? Draw 1 shield card. We get a shield. I'll explain all of this once it's pertinent.
You can now reflect your opponent's ranged attacks using your shield. Make good use of this skill if you wish to survive.
I'll explain that once we actually fight somebody, my friend. Tutorialing early. I know. Then, before you can stop him, with inhuman speed, he snatches a pickled onion off your plate and sprints out the tavern door.
That first moment, that glinting weapon, the call to action, to adventure. Truly, there is nothing like it.
Twisted Canyon. You see a weapon glinting in the sunlight, lying next to a skeleton at the bottom of the canyon. The walls of the canyon are covered in thick vines, perfect for climbing. Now this is going to be our first instance of a chance draw, where we've got a certain chance of being successful. Let me show you. These 4 cards appear in front of us. 3 success, 1 failure.
Choose from these options.
I know. Thank you, dealer. Don't interrupt me. Alright, so the 4 cards were flipped face down, shuffled together, and spread out. Now, eagle-eye viewers may have noticed that the way the cards were shuffled, you could see one clearly went on top. And that card, when they were dealt back out, was this card. When it shuffles them together, they do layer in a certain order, and they shuffle back out in that order. So the card that goes in on the top comes out on the top. So the card that was originally here, I believe it was, that went on top, is now here. The card that went to the bottom came out from the bottom and went somewhere here. So I can, because I know a success card when they went in was on the top, it is now here. It's similar to the shell and marble, or the cup and marble game, where you have 3 cups, a marble in one of them, and you shuffle them around. It's the same idea here. So let's just look. See, this was a success, the other was a failure. To the right. Now that was in the same order that they started with. That almost never happens. Don't bank on that. Very carefully you make your way to the bottom of the canyon. You retrieve the weapon from the ancient corpse. Draw 1 weapon card, with which we get an axe. That's better than our rusty axe, so we're going to equip it.
A moment to savor. That will make you much more effective.
And that gets rid of our rusty axe, because that's considered starting equipment, and the game will only give us that so that we have a weapon. And now we find stairs.
Down once more, seeking the heart of it all.
These stairs will take us to the next floor of the dungeon. These other 4 cards will be removed from the table, and new cards will be dealt face down. You embark on the next leg of your adventure.
You're on the final floor of our simple map. Your opponent waits here for you. Find him. If you defeat me, well, it is early to be talking about victories and losses. Let us see what you're made of.
I do apologize for the hiccup in the subtitles there. I'm not sure what's up with that. So I wanted to make sure I was quiet for that. But as he was explaining, the boss that we read about earlier, the Jack of Dust, is here on this floor somewhere. Presumably at the end, considering this is the first dungeon, and it's very simple, and there's not a whole lot of cards available. So we'll just move on though.
I'm sure it's not called Dead Man's Gorge without reason.
Dead Man's Gorge. While crossing the ancient rope bridges of Dead Man's Gorge, you hear sounds of movement from below. It's an ambush! Draw 1 monster card. So this is our first instance of combat. So what's going to happen is, this is really cool. I love how this happens. It loads the arena, lays the cards down, lays you down with all your cards. They just come into existence. It's wonderful.
You can now counter your opponent's attacks. Hit the counter button when you see the flashing indicator.
Yes, thank you. Seeing as this is our first combat, the game is going to prompt us with control information. Now I'm playing with an Xbox 360 controller, because this is one of few games that I prefer a 360 controller to a keyboard and mouse, just because of the analog stick and the style of combat, which is very similar to Batman Arkham series. So we'll get started here. You can see the prompt appears over his head, that little green squiggly lines. I press the Y button to counter. I believe it's Q, but don't quote me on that on the keyboard. And we can counter, we can do basic attacks, we can dodge roll out of the way, we can hit boxes, semi-destructible arenas. Counter that, we can do shield bashes with B, dodge rolls with A. I believe that's all we can do for right now. If they had any ranged attacks, we could also reflect those with the shield. But seeing as they don't, we're just stuck beating the pulp out of them. Like so. You're actually able to get really good at the combat here and rack up insane combos and do crazy things. It's very fun, let me tell you. And I love that it's a tabletop game. But the way it's fought, it's not luck of the draw or luck of dice or anything like that. It's actual skill playing a game. You recover what you can from the dead. The dealer draws you 3 gain cards. And these are those gain cards I was talking about
I'm sure
earlier.
you're grateful for that.
The loot. So here we get the right to draw a piece of equipment
It's
from
more late to navigation, but still.
We get to draw from our own equipment deck. We've drawn the Explorer's Helm. Reveals stairs encounter upon entering a level, and grants a gold bonus for revealing every encounter on a level. We gain 3 food here, and 25 gold. Not the most useful thing in the world, but beggars can't be choosers. Free stuff is free stuff. Now, little disclaimer, I'm only going to be reading cards the first time we encounter them, so I'm not going to be repeating Twisted Canyon or Dead Man's Gorge or anything like that. I won't be rereading them later on to help things flow a little better, but seeing as this is the first episode, got to get all the explanation out of the way. So in the future, I won't be reading them unless something new happens. One other thing, though, I've neglected to mention up to this point is the inventory. So if we press select here.
Review your cards here.
Yes, thank you, dealer. I'm trying to explain this. Yes, this is where all of our stuff is, obviously. It's an inventory. So here's that axe we picked up earlier. Here we have light armor. It's once again one of those starting items. Air quotes around starting items. It's the game will, you have to have something to that slot, so if you don't have anything, the game will give you light armor. Same for weapons. If you don't have anything, the game will give you rusty axe. Helmet, you don't have to have. We just got this Explorer helm, which makes us look like Christopher Columbus or something. We got the shield here, also not required. The only things required are the weapon and the armor. But the shield is what we got from Mr. Lionel. Insanely useful. Insanely useful. Almost a necessity for combat. Because you can see all of those attacks that they had were counterable. They couldn't touch us. Which was absolutely great, because you don't want to take much damage. Damage is permanent in this game. Traveling Tinker. In a shady grove off the beaten trail, you find a traveling merchant looking to trade with wandering adventurers. Tinkers sell items of all descriptions. So this is our first instance of a shop. There are many different varieties of shop in the game, each selling different different types of stuff at different prices. It all depends on who you find, obviously. So we're going to approach the shop because we've got a bunch of gold to burn through. That doesn't carry over to the next challenge. So spend it while you got it, right? Greetings, wise traveler. I have much to offer you. I'm gonna hate
You were
myself.
wondering why you've been collecting all that gold. You now have your answer. We're starting to get into the meat of the game now. The back and forth between resources and rewards.
Thank you for interrupting me once again, dealer. As I was saying, I'm gonna hate myself later for all these voices, because I'm gonna look back through the video and my ears are gonna bleed from listening to my own voice, trying to voice act. But anyways, here we're in the shop. We have 3 different options. Buying items allows us to, well, buy items. We can sell equipment that we've got. Anything with the little golden circle in the corner with the hand means that it's equipped to us. So this axe, shield, and explorer's helm are equipped. This is other stuff we can buy. None of this is really useful to us. This is one of those artifacts that Marith was talking about. I guess I can explain those in the next fight, so I'll buy that.
A classical approach to dealing with crowds. Artifacts provide powerful special abilities to use in combat, but it takes time to ready them.
Once again, thank you for explaining things before they're actually pertinent. Jeez and Pete. Everyone wants to be the tutorial. But we're still at shops. This is our third option, buying food. Every shop has the option to buy food. You can buy different amounts though, at different prices. Some shops charge more, some charge less. It's more gold efficient to buy more at a time. We can either buy 1 food for 4 gold or 3 food for 11 gold. Whereas if we wanted to get 3 food from here, it costs us 12 gold, so it would be more efficient to buy in bulk. But we have no money and we have plenty of food, so we're just going to go ahead and leave. On to the next card. Ambush.
What did you think would happen with a card called Ambush, eh?
A slight rustling behind you is all the warning you get that your life is in grave danger. Draw 1 monster card. And we enter our second situation of fighting. We're just going to skip through this. Now the game is showing us artifacts. Yes, that thing we bought at the shop is an artifact. You can see the little 9 by it. Or, yeah. Show them where it is first. I'm new to this. Cut me some slack. Alright. Down in the lower right hand corner we can see our shield. And that's also where some other pieces of equipment will be shown. Like our armor. That's below the shield. But just to the left of the shield icon, we've got our artifacts. You can only have 1 equipped at a time. And right now we have Damocles. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But what we can do is we can press the right button and we launch out from us a giant compass of darts. Now as you can see, that number 9 changed to an 8 and then to a 7 as we used it. As Meredith said, limited uses. But I don't really think we need to use this for one guy. Let's just kick his butt. Beat the literal shit out of him. Not sure how they ambushed me on a chain platform in the middle of a volcano, but I digress. While searching the area for anything worth salvaging, you realize that one of your opponents is only pretending to be dead. So we're just gonna fix that real quick. So now if you watched, as I said before, the cards stay in that top to bottom order. So the card that was originally the second card was the one that wound up on top when the cards collapsed in. Then that card, when the cards fanned out again, the top card went over here. So the card that was originally here, a success card, is now over here to the right. So I'm going to select this card because I can guarantee that it is a success. It's a difficult thing to explain, but once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty easy concept. Those do get harder. They become, sometimes there will be more failure cards, sometimes there will be huge failure cards, sometimes the cards will shuffle faster, sometimes it'll shuffle more than once. I'm sure we'll see that later on in the game. A quick weapon blow to the head fixes that. You finish searching the area. The dealer draws you 3 gain cards. Now see, if we wouldn't have killed him and just fled, we likely wouldn't have been able to get these gain cards, as we wouldn't have been able to loot. So we're going to get 1 piece of equipment. We got the healing cap.
Increasing the effect of one sort of magic with another. All you need is a channel for power, and it's simple enough.
So the healing cap, any healing that the player receives is doubled. Alright, we're going to go ahead and equip that since the Explorer's helmet isn't doing anything.
Really? Is that what you're going to do?
And the dealer is sassing us for it. And we just got healed the damage we had lost. Now we're at full health. What I wanted to explain, while we weren't, is that while moving and consuming food, you do heal a small amount of health from eating. which I wanted to do when we got to it, but the game cards went ahead and healed me right up. So let's just move on to this card. It's the last one face down, and we know that one of these cards has to be Jack of Dust, so let's have our boss fight.
You have reached my first champion. A good man driven to madness by a war that took all from him. Wife and child, kith and kin. From such dark and brittle iron I forge my tools. Now we see your metal.
Alright, the Jack of Dust. I've already read all this, so like I said, not going to read it again.
This token will unlock more cards if you can defeat this encounter.
Now, what he's talking about are tokens. Those 3 little objects floating above that jar there. Those is basically booster packs. Like I had said before, this is part trading card game, which it hasn't really shown us yet because we have no cards of our own. But what those will do is, if we win this fight, we will get more cards. And those are just the pack that they're in, so to speak. But now, if we want those cards though, we gotta win. And there's our boss, the Jack of Dusts.
Some enemy attacks cannot be blocked or countered. Get out of the way or stop them with your own counterattack.
That's what that red indicator is. Thank you, dealer, for your perfect timing. Yes, as the dealer was saying, sometimes we can't counter, we can't block, we can't do anything to certain attacks. The only thing you can do is dodge out of the way, which we do by pressing A. Now, one little caveat about dodging, especially for those Dark Souls or Demon Souls players, if you dodge to try to get out of the way, you do have to actually get out of the way. Dodging is not like in Smash Brothers or Dark Souls. The simple act of dodging does not make you invincible. So if I dodge into this, I still take the damage, because he still hits me. Now what he just did there is, I believe what he just did, Jack over there, is he inspired them, the other bandits, so now they will take gold on hits, which doesn't really matter, seeing as this is the last fight and win or lose, we're done. We'll no longer need the gold. Ow. Also, we're broke as it is. Oh, seeing as we've got a crowd, we're going to use magic throwing knives. Once we've defeated all these guys, come over here. Come over here. Thank you. Well, that was easy. Alright, now the fight is won. And we walk to the corpse, our fallen Jack, to claim our reward.
Down into the worms with him. Perhaps there is peace for him in the grave, poor soul. One champion has been sent to the cabinet. Yet we are only at the start of our road. You will face 11 more opponents who will test your strength, your memories, and your resolve. Few fall at the first hurdle. None reach the last. We have wagered, and you have won. You may claim your rewards, yet I will also claim mine. As you improve, so do I. Balance must be retained.
And that is the Jack of Dust defeated. Before we go today, let's claim our prize, because that's what we're here for. We're here for the rewards. As a reward for defeating the Bandit Jack, you receive these new cards. The Jack of Skulls, our next boss fight. Dead King's Hall. Local Peasant. Devil's Choice. River, and Captain of the Guards. These are all encounter cards, cards that make up the game board itself, created from our past memories. Now each of these cards has that little golden symbol at the bottom, meaning that these cards have tokens for us. Rather than paying for these booster packs, you get them from other cards. We got these tokens from Jack of Dust, which give us more cards with more tokens, more cards, more tokens, more cards. Chaining quests together, basically. It's just like how in an RPG, one quest leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, carrying you through the game, giving you items along the way. That's exactly what this is. And we also have two cards here, Jack of Dust and Captain of the Guards, with locks above them at the top. That means that those cards are locked into our deck, and we cannot take them out. These other cards we can move in or out of our deck freely as we choose. These two cards are required to be in our deck until we meet certain conditions to unlock them. But we'll get to that in due time. On to our next pack. This token gives us equipment cards. We have Medium Armor, Chains of Rage, Mercenary Contract, another Medium Armor, Fortitude's Breath, and Desperate Measures. Some of these pieces of equipment have special effects about them. We'll get to those as we encounter them. But they're certainly all good, and definitely better than the stuff we've currently got. And one final token, with one encounter. For defeating my Bandit Jack, I will give you new challenges. Bandit attack. It seems we have angered the bandits, and now we'll face their wrath.
Shall we deal again?
And that is the first round of Hand of Fate. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you all next time, where we fight the Jack of Skulls. I'll see you guys then.